Hey there, friends. Thanks for joining me for another video from Legally Armed America. I'm, of course, Paul Glasgow here. Guys, if you get a chance, remember to like, subscribe the videos, and share them if you get a chance. YouTube is not a real big fan of the Second Amendment community, and we are seeing subscriptions, people falling off at a pretty rapid rate. We'll see spikes, which we figure at that point no one is throttling us. And all of a sudden we'll see a pretty dramatic and drastic reduction in those numbers. So please make sure you're still subscribed. But please, to help grow the channel, if you don't mind, please share the videos and suggest other people follow the channel. We put a lot of work into these videos, most of us do. And we do appreciate the fact that you guys watch, because if nobody watches, what's the point of us making videos? I wanted to put out a video today. I was actually working on a video, believe it or not, on the United Healthcare CEO who got gunned down in New York City. But some pretty explosive video came out today from Rowe, who's the acting director of the Secret Service. And you guys know over the summer I did a whole lot of extensive work on the assassination attempts on Donald Trump. And Rowe, I believe, is at the center of most, if not all of that. I do believe that Cheadle, you'll remember Kim Cheadle was the acting director or the assigned director of the Secret Service at the time of Trump's first assassination attempt. She's also, more than likely, a very well-paid DEI hire. She came from Pepsi, which, yeah, I mean, protecting the President of the United States and protecting bottles of soda and potato chips, kind of the same, right? It qualifies you. No, they have a super strong DEI policy at the Secret Service, pushed down by the President of the United States, Joe Biden, of course. And they hired Kim Cheadle to check off boxes. Well, you know what happens whenever you have DEI hires. It happens across the country. That's why people are turning on DEI, because it's so ineffective. There is meritocracy at various parts, meaning that people are promoted based on what they do, not what their skin color is and what they have in their pants. In Cheadle's case, she was likely just hired for that reason, to signal, yay, look at us, we're DEI friendly. But somebody had to know what was going on. That likely was Rowe. Now, I don't think Rowe is an idiot. I think he's an ass, but I don't think he's an idiot. He probably was a decent Secret Service agent at some point. He certainly knows the ropes, and that's why he was the assistant to the director, or whatever you want to call him, a second in line at the Secret Service. Because you have to have somebody strong who's your right-hand man if you suck as a director. And Cheadle did not have the tools to know how the Secret Service worked or what needed to be done in critical situations. So what did she do? She would lean on a guy like Rowe, right? I mean, it's smart. It's smart on her part. Doesn't make her a good director. It means that she knows she sucks at her job, and she looks at the person who's probably best qualified to do her job instead of her, who probably got turned down for the job instead of her, and leans on them, pays them a hefty salary so that they can keep them around and they don't run off and do something else because they're butthurt because they didn't get the job that you got simply because you're a woman. That's Rowe, you know. Now again, Rowe, highly decorated, been there a while, done a lot of stuff, but he's very opportunistic. The guy wants to be the director under Donald Trump so badly, so badly. Now he's shown that he's a hothead. He's shown that he can get moments of Roid rage. He's shown that he's an ass. He's done that in testimony in front of Congress many, many times over. Here's another example. This guy testified today because guess what? He was testifying because he's asking for a boatload of additional money. Not hundreds, not thousands. He's asking for millions of dollars more for the Secret Service so they can do their job right. In other words, they're saying, oh, the reason why we screwed up and I was essentially in charge. Remember, he was likely the one truly calling the shots instead of Cheadle, but her head rolled because she was the director. He was in a perfect position. He got to do all the things. He got to be the boss without the responsibility of being the boss. Now, granted, he didn't get the money of being the boss or the recognition, but when things go south and there's a massive screw up like Donald Trump being assassinated, or at least attempt, all that went right past him. Even though he was the shot caller, it all went right past him. The blame did. Because why? Even though he was doing all the work, making all those decisions, she was the one getting all the glory prior to that, so she got all the blame at that time. So this guy really wants this job. He really wants it. Well, he got into an argument because he was trying to tell Congress why he needed so much more money to do the job that he was already supposed to be doing. And I think Congress is thinking, well, shouldn't you have asked for this before? Did you have to wait till a bullet whizzed past Donald Trump before you said we have holes in our program, right? I do think the DEI stuff, by the way, is going to get pushed out of there. The Betty Crockers and all the other little chicks in there who did crappy jobs with Donald Trump getting shot at, I do believe they're short-lived. They need to start looking at maybe working in a daycare or something at this point. But there was a shouting match that took place today, and this was pretty interesting to me. To me, this showed the roid rage of Ron Rowe. It also showed how he thinks he's above other people, including Congress. This is what happens when you get bureaucracies like this. They realize they can't be touched. And then they also think that because they can't be touched, they are bigger than those who truly are their bosses, which is Congress. Take a look at this.
Another question for you. Do you recognize this photo?
Yes, sir, I do.
Okay. Was that the remembrance of September 11th?
It was.
Was it in New York?
It was at Ground Zero.
Okay. Who's usually at an event like this closest to the President of the United States, security-wise?
The SAC of the detail.
Special agent in charge of the detail. Were you the special agent in charge of the detail that day?
Actually, let me address this. Could you please, staff, leave that? Oh, no, leave that one up with the circle around me. Thank you. So actually, Congressman, what you're not seeing is the SAC of the detail out of the picture's view. And that is the day where we remember the more than 3,000 people that have died on 9/11. I actually responded to Ground Zero. I was there going through the ashes of the World Trade Center. I was there at Fresh Kills.
I'm not asking you that. I'm asking you,
Congressman.
were you the special agent in charge?
To show respect
You were not.
for a Secret Service
that's a bunch of
member
horse hockey.
that died on 9/11.
That you're trying to be.
Do not invoke 9/11 for political purposes.
I'm not. I'm invoking this.
You are, sir.
Gentlemen.
And you are out of line.
I would like to ask him a question.
Please.
You are
Order.
out of line,
Congressman. Don't try to bully me. I
Order.
am an elected member of Congress, and I'm asking you a serious question, and you are
I
playing
am a
politics.
public servant who has served this nation and
You
spent
won't answer
time
the question.
on our day, on our country's darkest
Mr.
day.
Chairman,
Committee
you will
will come
not
Do not
to order.
politicize it.
Committee will come to order.
I'm asking you serious questions for the American people, and they're very simple. They're not trick questions. Were you the special agent in charge that
No,
day?
I wasn't. I was there representing
Mr.
the
Chairman,
United
I'm
States
just
Secret
asking you yes or
Service,
no.
sir.
Mr. Fallon, your
and
time's
did not
expired.
affect protective
Fallon,
You know
operations.
why you were
time's
there?
expired.
Because you wanted to be visible, because you were auditioning for this
I was
job.
there to
that
pay
you're not gonna
respect for a
get
fallen
till
member of
January
this
20th.
agency.
You endangered
You are
President
out of
Biden's
line,
life,
Congressman.
Vice President
You are out of
Harris's
line.
life, because you put those agents out of position.
Mr.
Did you have a
Chairman.
radio with
Mr.
you?
Fallon,
Did
your
you wear a
time
vest?
has
Did you have a
expired.
weapon?
Mr.
No.
I did, sir, and you are out of line.
Now, as you can see, the issue here that Fallon was talking to him about was that Fallon was saying you put people at risk, which, I mean, I would have questions about. The future president is sitting right over there, too. I'm a little worried about him. You know, not Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. The country doesn't like them or want them at this point. They want Donald Trump. I'd be more concerned with that. But, of course, Ron Rowe took the place of the acting person who was supposed to be guarding and protecting Joe Biden, and a separate person in that case for Kamala Harris. Took their place. Now remember, you have to be in on the, I guess, the planning of this. Ron Rowe likely wasn't. In other words, there had to have been a meeting that morning on, okay, this is where these people are going to stand. You have to have a radio, which he did not have. He does say that, or at that point, that he had a gun on him. Oh, great, right? But no radio. No idea of what the plan was. He was not involved in those conversations that morning, like the agent in charge who was further down from him would have been involved in that. So the true protector was a few people down, and more than likely if something had popped off, Ron Rowe likely would have looked at that person like, it's on you now. I want you to see Chad Pergram from Fox News interviewed the congressman after that exchange, and he discusses in a little bit more detail why this conversation took place, and he describes some of the issues that Ron Rowe, the bully, has facing him going forward.
That but you think he had other ulterior motives.
He disrupted the protection of the President of the United States and the Vice President of the United States. That's a fact. He could have attended that event without doing that. You could have attended without disrupting. He just shouldn't have been in that particular position. That was reserved for the special agent in charge of the detail of President Biden. And he was there. And so that guy had to move down. And then you know who else had to move down? The special agent in charge of Vice President Harris's detail. He disrupted. Did he attend? I just wanted simple questions answered. Did he attend the details operational briefing that day? Did he wear a radio? Could he have talked to the other agents? I don't think he could have. Was he wearing a vest? Was he wearing body armor? You know why that's important? Because when you're that close to the president, God forbid something happens, you want to make sure that bullet doesn't go through and hit the principal. He didn't answer that question. He answered the question that he had a weapon. So then I wanted to ask him, when was the last time he was on a security detail like that? It was 16 years ago, from what my information is from rank and file members. So that's not exactly a really sharp blade, is it?
And your idea here is that he was auditioning for the job to be the Secret Service. How do you know that? How do you know that, or is that just your supposition?
Because there's no reason for him to be there. There isn't. Try to find a place in a time in history where the Secret Service director was that close to the president at a functional event. I don't think you could find it. So yeah, I think he was auditioning for the job, a job that I don't believe he's going to get come January 20th. I have not talked to the president about that, but I suspect that they're going to find much better people because we need to change the culture as well. I was also discussing that he used it as he used July 13th as an approach request. He wanted $2 billion additional dollars, and that's why I went through the questioning prior to him exploding like a child and asking him how much would it have cost to do simple things, fair-minded things that they should have done. And there were not one or two of them. There were like 8 or 9 things. And then we saw what happened with Palm Beach. And this was in between those two events. So what the point is we're supposed to learn from our mistakes so it doesn't happen again. I don't think he learned much from those mistakes. So we need a whole cultural change within the Secret Service. And I can get into those details ad nauseum.
So Ron Rowe clearly wants the job. Ron Rowe likely sees congressmen like this standing in the way of that job. He's probably told everybody else, including people who he's probably interviewing with right now, to get that directorship. He's probably telling them, hey, I did everything anyway. Cheetah was the one that screwed up, but all the good stuff that happened, yeah, I did that. This guy obviously is sitting here trying to say that for a photo op that he can hang on his wall, which you will see that picture hang on Ron Rowe's wall at some point. No doubt you will see that. That's why he was there. It was simply for a photo op, right? There was no reason for him to be there. He said he was there to pay respects for a fallen Secret Service agent. Whoop-de-doo. I'm sorry, whoop-de-doo. Believe me, there were firemen who lost their lives on that day who did a lot more work than likely that Secret Service agent, and they did not get to sit directly behind Joe Biden or Kamala Harris. So save me and spare me with the, oh, I was there to pay my respects. A lot of people were there to pay their respects, and a lot of people deserve to be on the front row before you did. You took advantage of your position with the Secret Service to push somebody else down the aisle and put Kamala Harris and Joe Biden's safety at risk, including Donald Trump, because now you're not part of the plan like they are. Meanwhile, the people who should be there getting in that photo op because they deserve it, because they did so much more than you did, are pushed off to the side because they're not important enough and they don't have the luxury of telling somebody else, scoot down, let me stand right here. Again, I have to point my fingers at a whole lot of the public servants that were there that day, more specifically firemen who ran up several flights of stairs, and even some law enforcement who were there doing the same thing. So Ron Rowe deserved no more of that place than anybody else that was there, likely less than a whole lot of other people. I hope Congress sees through this guy. I hope Congress sees that he is a rager. I hope they see that we can't have some hothead like this. You can't put this guy in charge of anything. When you oppose him, he wants to get in a shouting match with you. He wants to get all indignant and act like he's bigger and better than you. You can't have that. This guy needs to be knocked down a rung. In fact, I would just let him go. Just let the guy go, right? He's probably got some sweet little parachute retirement plan tied to him already for the length of time that he's already been there. Just let him go out there, be on CNN or MSNBC while it's still around, and sit there and play with his bad haircut in front of a whole bunch of people and act like he's important. Because the American people don't have any respect for this guy. I don't care whose side you're on, Republican, Democrat, conservative, liberal. Nobody has any respect for these people. They've fumbled their jobs so poorly, and all they've done, including and more specifically Ron Rowe, is blame everybody else for their shortcomings, not once taking direct responsibility. Saying we screwed up is not taking responsibility for your actions. That's simply acting like you're falling on the sword in some noble way. Oh, we screwed up and we take full responsibility. Great. Can you bullet point that and define the actual more specific screw-ups that you did along the way? They won't do that because they're trying to be noble in their efforts instead of specific in their efforts, which means they have no intention of fixing anything. If you can't identify the problem and say, these are the problems we're going to fix, then you're not trying to fix a problem. By saying, oh, we screwed up, we're not going to do that again, that relieves you of any effort because there's nothing that you have defined that was done wrong, so you don't have to fix anything. Now you're just saying, we're going to do our job better next time. Whoop-de-doo! Nobody's any more safe because of that. So here's me hoping Ron Rowe does not get that directorship with the Secret Service because I do not think he deserves it. I think that, again, he's probably a good worker bee, but he is not, with the Roid rage effect that he has going on, he is not director material, let me tell you. Guys, hopefully tomorrow I will have my video on the United Healthcare CEO being gunned down. I might lose some people following me after this one because I don't think I'm going to be parroting the same thing that you're hearing from the media regarding this man who got shot in New York. Just a hunch.
I don't understand the point that you're making.
God save the Queen, man.
I'm sorry, I thought this was America. He's so horrible.